What, me, the Flying Doctor, using a piece of software that's not strictly approved for the use that I'm putting it to? I've got a reputation to protect. Well, welcome folks. This is a brief review and work through of something called FSI Panel, which is produced for P3D and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. It comes with a list of aircraft that is designed to be used with, to place them in the sky so you can practice your beautiful approaches all over the world. But strangely enough, although it was it's designed to work with one of the aircraft that I use, the Fenix A320. No one said anything about High Performance's H145, and well, as you can see here, we've just flown an ILS flight path into Geneva Airport. So welcome. In short, this is an excellent piece of software. If you want to watch the video further through, we look at applying it to the Fenix A320. And we also then say, oh, I wonder if this will work even though it's not approved with the H145. Well, I think you can see, folks, certainly it's a tool to get you stable in the sky, to get you wherever you want to be. So perhaps you can search out for those heliports that can be really difficult to find. This is a lovely little tool. Welcome to the Flying Doctor channel. So a piece of software that I thought was worth highlighting is FSI Panel. In fact, it's my most recent purchase. Now, I bought this because I've been flying fixed wing aircraft and I've wanted to practice my approaches without having to plan the whole flight, so I reach the point that I'm at the final marker where I can actually get on with landing the thing. And that's, of course, what takes a lot of effort. This is $50 at the moment. I consider it's always subjective, isn't it? But I consider this is really worthwhile from what it brings to the sim. But also, I've started to experiment a little because there are, as you can see here, a range of aircraft that FSI Panel is designed to work with. But I also tried it with the H145 from High Performance Group. It put me in the sky above the ground, aware of a particular approach that you might take. I realise that helicopters and fixed wing aircraft don't necessarily take the same approaches, but it was still interesting to be able to sight yourself sort of 5 miles away from where you're going to land, so you can continually practice that looking out and that landing. The software comes in 2 different versions: FSI Panel 2020 for P3D and for Microsoft Flight Simulation 2020. So at the moment it supports in-house 38 aircraft ranging from airliners to jets to propeller craft as well, and turboprops. It's really designed to work alongside a Navigraph or Navdata navigation chart subscription, which I happen to have. And I think most people, as they get into sort of flying fixed-wing aircraft, certainly will invest in. And then the different editions, the difference are that in the advanced edition, you can have training scenarios and advanced failures worked in to the panel itself, and a advanced TCAS scenario as well in the advanced edition. The Pro has a client or server option. So it works on a range of aircraft, and there are a lot of video helps out there, videos and screenshots to assist. And so I found this very useful, as I say, when I was flying the Fenix A320 in particular. I'm going to illustrate that very quickly, and then for those of us interested in helicopters, we can perhaps have a look at, well, is this portable? We'll try that as well. So this scenario will be familiar to many users of the Fenix. You jump in the aircraft. There's everything to do. We're at Brussels Airport at the moment, and you can open up your tablet, and you can go to panel states, and you can get ahead, but you've still got to plan in your flight itself. Ultimately, there's still a huge amount of work to do when it comes to loading your systems, particularly the flight management system that you can just sort of see down here if I zoom in. Kind of linking into this is a little bit of a challenge and can take a long while to program. And ordinarily you would have to load the aircraft, load the route, do a heck of a lot of work in order to get yourself in the air in the first place, including taxiing. So yes, it's not the most productive way of practicing your approaches, but just let me show you what this piece of software will do. So FSiPanel will either recognize the airport that I am at. In fact, it's recognized I'm at Brussels International Airport, EBBR, but you can actually select the airport that you would like to be at, and you would navigate to the runway there, or you can even request a random airport, a training airport, and you could specify, for example, that you wanted to fly an ILS approach, and that you wanted to do an instrument flight. For example, I've set here minimum runway 2,000 meters, maximum 3,000. There's lots of other variables. I can click on search and I will get a load of options that are coming up here telling me exactly what is available, and then I would use these and I'd go to Navigraph and look at the approaches. I'll perhaps highlight that shortly for you, but nonetheless, just I can go back. But you can also see here I can select the runway. Now it's immediately gone to runway 19 here. I think it maybe spots the default that Microsoft Flight Simulator will use. So runway 19 here, I noticed that we've got a headwind, which kind of makes sense. You don't want to be taking off with a tailwind, do you? So yes, recognize that it does that appropriately. And then I can select any of these approaches here. So left hand downwind, left hand vectors, left hand base, short funnel, long funnel, right hand base, right hand vectors, right hand downwind. So if I click and say that I want to be on right hand base, for example, I am able to recognize here on the position summary, base ILS runway 19, 8 nautical miles at 2,000 feet, and that is where it will put me if I click on move aircraft. And also the other thing that's interesting, and I will highlight this, is that it's possible to have a real good look around different approaches elsewhere. So to put this in context, I've just created an imaginary site from Gatwick to Brussels. You can see it on SimBrief here. There is the route. If I click here on Navigraph charts, there we are. You'll find that, and click on high IFR, you'll find that the chart comes up. There we are, and I'm actually able to see, well, I'm coming in from this angle, and what approaches are available for me. So requires a little bit of delving down into Navigraph itself. If you just notice at the bottom here is a very handy battle on SimBrief for arrival airports, so you can click on that in charts and that will open up for us in a second. There's our arrival airports, and we also have our approaches here, so standard arrival and approaches. So this is where we're able to mimic real life even more. And if I click on each one of these, I can find the RNAV approach. Well, there's an ROV and there's ILS alternate routes. I can find the approach that I want to be flying. Just so happens I recognise this third one has traffic coming. There's the airport there, so it's catering for traffic coming in this direction. And of course we want to be headed down in that kind of direction there. That, well, 19 is flat down here. But yes, we can click and we can select the arrival that we would want to, and you can see here that you've got this arrival figure here, RVOL 8A, RVOL 8B, Tellini 8A, Tellini 8B are nav arrivals. That's important to remember. The other way to do it is to look at the approach. You can see here, there's the little pink arrow for where we are, and one route in presumably takes you through Kirky, which is this holding pattern here, across and then around. You can see this link in to the runway 193 degrees. So yeah, effectively you can see where a normal approach would usually take you, and then relate this to what is happening in terms of what FSPanel you ask FSPanel to do. So I'll just come a bit closer here. So there's Kirky there, through that beacon there. What looks like it's not entirely clear, but we'll see. But the main thing is to know that we're heading for Kirky. That's the route, and then around and down here to to make our landing, which of course tallies with the chart, because we've got Kirky here, we've got arrival at Tilney 8A and 8B RNAV arrivals. So that's what we want to be looking for. This is quite important when it comes to selecting our fix, which I'll show you shortly. So what we would do to replicate this route is we go to select fix in FSPanel up here, select fix, and then select star, standard arrival of course, and then we have the options here on the left from which we can pick. We're looking for air vol and two leaning 8A and 8B. Just enlarge the map for you, but you can see we're wanting to head up here, but we can see Tilney 8A and air vol or RVol 8A there. So one of those two taking us to this waypoint and then on to Kirky. So yes, we need to jump back, and you can see it here on the on FSPanel. Tiln 8A, click on that. Says no transitions, but we can select a waypoint. Tilney there, a Covey there, Rodri there, or Kirky there. So if you want to actually start and fly this procedure, so there's 20 miles there, 9.5 miles there, 5.8 miles there. So we might want to start at a Covey, so we're not waiting around for too long. And then you'll see that if you look at the screen here, I'll just move it and enlarge it. You can see the summary and options here, that I'm heading at 55 degrees, altitude will be 9,000 feet, I'll be offset of 5 nautical miles. That's important, so I'll be 5 nautical miles away from this waypoint. That becomes really important when you are correcting the flight computer to, you know, because you pause it and then you remove any gaps, and you need a little bit of time to do that, so it offsets you so you're not sitting right upon the first way marker in your route. And you can change these, but you can click to validate it, and once you've validated it, you'll get this big screen here, and then move aircraft, and this is where it gets really interesting. I've got two screens open for you here. One is the main scene, because we'll see that change, but also I think it's really interesting, just on the right hand side here, I've alt and clicked to separate out the MCDU menu, because you'll see FSPanel make the changes to this, the initial changes that it needs to do to situate the aircraft at exactly these points. So I'm going to correct move aircraft, and you might well see all weird things happening. Okay, here we go. So we'll move the aircraft now. If I just jump across to scene, you'll see there's a nice little warning here. And what it does require me to do is to set throttle to the climb here. It'll tell me, so your leaders are not in climb detent. So you just move it up to the climb detent and make sure that the brakes are off, the park brakes are off. There's a reason for that. Okay, so we'll just click on there. And then it says my levers are in climb detent. Right, sorry about that. I'll get all kinds of... Whoa, there we go. Let's just move back. All kinds of weird stuff happening. I'll just clarify and just remove the weather. I'll make sure the weather's totally clear for you. You don't want live weather. There we are. That'll be a bit better, maybe. No, we won't have any of that. We'll have something nice. I don't know. Calm winds. There we go. So there we are. So what's happening is that it's preparing the approach and about to situate the aircraft. And if you look across to the right hand monitor, you can see this filling in all the time. Just look down here. This is really cool, filling in all this information that it requires. And what it will situate itself ready to go, and it will tell me when you want to cancel, and when you want to take over, you press the brake for 3 seconds. Okay, so we can see all that happening, and you can see it happening. Obviously it's a reproduction of what's happening in the sim as well. So we just jump across to the scene there, preparing the approach. Just give it some time. This is fascinating. Okay, and just as it's doing that, when it's ready, it says aircraft is ready. Hold your brakes for 3 seconds to take control. Now what I'm going to do here, I am going to show you what you need to do in order to get moving sort of finally, because you need to make 1 or 2 changes down here in the MCDU with the flight plan, just to remove the discontinuities. I can't resist it. I'll do that very quickly for you. So here's how I do it. Hold on to the brakes for 3 seconds. Be ready to pause it. As soon as you see the aircraft moving, pause it. There you go, and it's saying have a safe landing. Okay, I'll take my brakes off again now. I've paused it now, and that's just because I just need to sort out just 1 or 2 final things. There's a bit more that needs doing here. So I click on my destination, my arrival. Now, this is a bit of an oddity, but this is the way that I do it. I'll actually change the runway, insert that. So there's a whole other tutorial on this. Click back, so that the reason I'm doing that and clicking back to arrival is that I can go to ILS 19 there, and then I can select the standard approach, if you remember. And our approach was Tulney 8A. So if we scroll down, which peculiarly on the MCD is pressing the up button, you can see Tulney 8A there, TULN 8A and 8B. We wanted 8A, so I click on that. Okay, that's entered there. Enter that into the flight plan, and we are nearly ready to go. You can see just up here on the left things starting to form, but we've still got these broken lines because the flight plan's not quite sorted. But remember that we're doing this, and we are paused. We are not far from from sort of completing our flight, so to speak. So the next thing I want to do is take away the discontinuity here. Press clear until clear appears on the bottom. Now, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. No, it's not allowed. Okay. Right. Just bear with me as I think through this. Yes, so I remember. So the way that you do it is that you go to direct to your first waypoint, and that removes this discontinuity here. So click direct, click Tulney, click insert, and there we go. Now, I said there we go because if you look up here, you can see all of the route sorted, apart from we're kind of missing this link across to here. So we'll see if we can solve that. I should be able to see a discontinuity here. There we go, flight plan discontinuity. Click clear on that one. Make sure if you click clear, you'll end up clearing the previous text from down here. But click clear, click flight plan discontinuity, click insert, and there we go. There is our route, and you can see our route through there. If I just give that a bit more space, there we go. So there we are. We are where I'm located at the moment, it's going to fly me down to Tulney and then up here. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I think there's a time to certainly say when things are cool. So what happens now is that I will just, I can't do it on the pause, but the first thing that I can do is just unpause it. I can set my speed to be managed, ... I can set my altitude to be managed, and if I want to reduce that down, it'll follow the flight plan, so I can go right down to say 100 there, which is obviously I haven't checked that out, a bit low. When the aircraft is ready, it will, and following the flight computer, it will lower itself down. So there you go. So yeah, I thought I'd show you that. But we don't just want to stop it there. We're interested in pushing the software beyond where it's designed to go, because of course you'll know that I have a particular interest in helicopters as well, and this is the H145 by Height Performance Group. I picked this because it's a pretty mature aircraft, and I'm interested to see what FSiPanel does when I ask it to set me on an approach near to Geneva Airport. Does it pick Geneva up in the first instance? Well, the first answer is that yes, it does. It's seen that the aircraft is in Geneva. It's actually detected compatible aircraft, it says, HPG Airbus H145, EMS, Emergency Medical Services. I'm treating with a level of skepticism compatible because it's not on the list, and then we'll have a look and see if we can pop this in the air. I think I'll just check the runway out. So it's selected runway 4, even though we're in a parkway. I'm interested as to why that might be. I'm not really sure, but runway 22 has a headwind. I prefer obviously to be taking off into a headwind, so we can change that there. So I could, as I've selected here, pick a left-hand vector or a right-hand vector, thinking that I'm coming into 22 and I'll sort of be landing beyond the runway, sort of somewhere up here. It's only, you know, figuratively for you. So I could do that, but I'm interested in other ways of selecting a fix. So if I clicked on select fix, I have all this detail here about a final approach. I'm thinking, do I really want to be on the same flight path as a jumbo? Would they let that happen in real life? Not really sure. But if I click select waypoint, I can create a custom pilot's waypoint here. So if I click new waypoint there, you can see that it's marked my current latitude and longitude, but I can also pick a nav aid or a fix and pick aircraft actual position. I guess this would be perhaps if you're flying and you reach a point in your flight where you want to pick the position in the air. And there's two really interesting and helpful things that you can do here. Varies according to, and I haven't tested this with the H145, but varies according with the aircraft. One is that you can take a snapshot. Now, if you're flying the Fenix, you can only take a snapshot on the ground, but that still gives you a huge kind of a huge advantage, because you can set up the aircraft right until the final point of taxiing, which takes a fair amount of time, and then you can reload back in later. It won't let you do it in the air. I'll be interested to see whether it'll let you do it in the air with the H145, and I think that option, you can do it in the air in other aircraft anyway. So I digress. So pick nav aid fix. We'll have a look at that and see what comes up. This is new for me. Type of waypoint, fixes or waypoint. Please enter the first three letters of the desired position. Well, I've just entered Geneva here in the search bar for Navigraphs. Were worth getting a Navigraph subscription, by the way. I don't know how I would cope without it. Allows me to open the airport or open the charts, and we can kind of do both. So we'll have a look at that. And looking at the charts, you can find out some quite interesting stuff here. So to start off with, I noticed that it's possible to get an ILS approach or a localizer approach, or for example, into runway 22. You can just see it there. Here we are, helicopter minimum, standard minimums, and you've got your decision altitude and your just on the left here. So fascinating that. And then also you can just have a look at the parking stands, and the helipads are quite clearly labelled. So yeah, really interesting. I'd sort of put them. I've sighted ourselves along here, I think. But yes, interesting to know. But just consider whether we use ILS or not. Here's the ILS chart here, and there we go with runway 22 there. If I click on the layers button, I have an option just at the left here with Navigraph to look at VFR, IFR low, or to keep the detail to IFR high. But if I stick to VFR, say, let's say that I was looking to fly VFR and then link with the ILS at a later point, because I was instructed to. Here are the markers here. You can just see to the right, so they don't enlarge. It's one of the things, you won't be able to see them. If I take away the map here, you'll find that there is a little way marker here, Teenham. We'll see if we can find that one. I've marked that there for you. That might be a little bit closer. Let's pop the runway marker back. There we are. So that's probably a little bit closer than Revley up there. So we can go back. We'll pick the fix again. Teenham. T-I-N-A-M. Let's see if it finds that one. There we are. And 18 miles to the airport. We'll stay there. So we'll select that waypoint. That's therefore fixed. And then we can compute the coordinates there. There's the latitude and the longitude that's coming. I didn't. And then if we can put in our default attitude, our default heading, and take it from there. So let's just have a look and see what we might be doing. Well, if I look at the map here, I can see that the entry point, which is this Maltese type cross area here, is at 4,000 feet. So if you were wanting to lock onto the ILS, you need to be at 4,000 feet at that marker GG808, which is there. We're coming from over here, and we've got a maximum 210 knots, 7,000 feet recommended here. This is for, I think it's for all aircraft. So yeah, we should ideally think that's right, or is that's the mark? Oh no, the marker is that's for up here. So it's anticipating if you were flying in the ILS from that point, you would be at 7,000 feet. However, here we're just looking at the topography. We've got a 2,000 feet kind of border there, and then it's up to 3,000 there, 4,000 there. So I think it's be safe to put us at 5,000 feet, and then we come down to 4,000 to link in to this point here. So I can put in my default altitude, 5,000 feet there, 1, 2, 3. I can put in a default heading. It's kind of northwesterly, isn't it? So we will go for, well, no, it's not quite northwesterly. It's north by northwesterly, and 320, something like that. It doesn't really matter. We can correct it. We'll go for 320. There we are. And then we can give the waypoint a name. I can call it Geneva. And Geneva Southern. I don't know, I've not done this before. Southern entry, ILS. Call it that. Description, I don't know, Geneva heli approach, just so I know. Save that as a waypoint. It says it's created successfully. There we go. And then presumably if I click on this and I ask it to validate it, there we are. So that's where it will do. And hopefully if we press move AC, the aircraft will move. Right, okay, that's stage 1. What I don't know, of course, is what's going to happen with the autopilot or anything else. But the first thing I'm going to do is improve the weather. Let's come off live weather here, and I think that'll do. I'm not too fussed as long as I can got reasonable visibility. And I'm going to ask it to move the aircraft. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is what happens when I move the aircraft. You can see on the top here, and I have a spin going on just to make me sick, but I'm just being true to life here. Notice I've got a decent amount of wind here, so just letting things settle. It does warn you with any aircraft, give it time to settle. What I've actually got here is I've got the altitude held, the airspeed is at virtually nothing, but it's set to, it's just at a crawl at 30 knots, and the heading is set correctly, but the autopilot is not following at the moment. And I'm told I'm just going to lower the throttle, and actually I can see that I can see this match. Can you see the little double white line here? If you match that up to the mark of the horizon, when you come off autopilot, in theory you should be matching the power to the autopilot to maintain the altitude and everything else that you've got logged in. So we'll keep that there. Heading is obviously off. I do like to, I mean, you saw a bit of twisting there. I do like to line things up to make it easy. And now it's gone green heading to show we're live with that. Have we got some? It's gone a bit cloudy. And then it's saying hold my brakes for 3 seconds to take control. So I'm going to do exactly the same that I did before. Put my brakes on, and it'll tell you aircraft is ready. Take my brake off, and there we are. So, and he's wishing us a safe landing. So there we are. We're stable in the air. Now I'm just sort of seeing what I can do in terms of, am I going to get any drift? No, everything looks okay here on the heading. I'm just going to look and see what happens. So can I increase the airspeed on this heading? Let's take it to 60. That seems to be operating well. Can I drop my altitude down to 4,000? Let's see. Yes, that's working well. If you're new to if you're new to the simulator, there you go, that little green marker there to the right is your altitude. So I'm going to bring this down, and once you go off the scale it'll appear at the top, but I actually want 4,000 feet. There we are. So that's all working. So yeah, this is stable. I could end it there, but I reckon I'm on to a winner now. So I'm just going to have a look here and see where I am in relation to the airport. So here we are, there's us there. And we can see that we could actually move almost, we could go 270 degrees towards CG 811. We'll have a look at that. Okay, let's try that then. So heading moves to 270. I'm clicking on the heading button to due west. But it's actually at G808 that we will intersect the ILS. I'm interested to see if I click the nav button what comes up, and I've got an ILS 108.7. Now I didn't program this in unless it's somehow spotted because runway 19 was on the original. Let me just go and check. So I'm looking to see how it's managed to find runway 22. So it's runway 22. If you look at the, I think at FSI panel, runway 22 has remained there. But when we selected the fix, we didn't say anything about. Oh, it says pilot southern entry ILS at 5,006. So perhaps it's loaded that in, but we came in on a different fix, didn't we? Which we don't have at the moment. It's sort of removed that. So somehow it's remembered the previous ILS that's been programmed in. So look just down here, you can see it. And if I click couple, that will switch on. And now it's navigating to that ILS, and it'll align itself. Let's just take a quick look and see. Usually I would fly towards the ILS marker and then switch it on whilst I'm turning in, but this may well address just immediately straight away, because I'm not sure. It's saying 224. I'm not sure what beacon it's, oh sorry, what waypoint it's connecting itself to. So it says ISW 12.5 nautical miles. That's the airport. 6 minutes. Let's just have a look and see what's happening on the map. Well, there you go. It has managed to come and navigate itself. It's found that line there. So yes, it has come right across and turned itself here. And we're now flying into the ILS flight path for runway 22. Just how close you can get. Obviously you're following the ILS to the airport. You could have got 3 reds now, so we're a little bit low. And I'll just be ready to click on to hold the altitude and the heading. Or you can keep the navigation, but you can hold the altitude. So there we are. Geneva Airport. I'll hold the altitude there. Take the airspeed down a little bit more. Adjust the heading. I can do this manually. So right click just to adjust the heading and come off, and perhaps move on to the grass here. Not that they're going to let anything else to land. Reduce down the speed a little bit more. Let's straighten up here. And you can see we're in a nice position I'm not saying this is the correct way to fly this aircraft, because we're actually flying below this marker here, the blue marker, which is the most efficient jump in engine power that you get beyond that point. If anything went wrong, go and reduce the speed right down now. There's a helicopter there. So we'll bring this to hover. Now, I would prefer GTC, and this will allow us to slowly taxi. So, folks, hope you found that helpful. I think that's an added bonus from the software. It's not, it's outwardly says it's not intended to work with helicopters or anything like that. But I thought, yeah, really, really interesting. So take care, folks. Stay safe. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, please, to subscribe. Helps get towards that golden 1,000. That would be good to get to. All right, take care.